Hello and welcome to our podcast. I'm Siti Haja, your host for today. Topic for today is masculinity and emotion. In this episode, we are going to explore the complex relationship between masculinity and emotion, delving into how societal expectations have traditionally shaped men's emotional life and the importance of redefining this norm for better mental health and overall well-being. Historically, men have been encouraged to embody traits such as stoicism, strength, and emotional restraint. While this quality can be positive, they often come at the cost of surprising emotion, which can lead to significant mental health challenge. As we navigate this topic, we will discuss how this traditional view on masculinity were formed, their impact on men's emotional health, and the way in which we can foster a healthier emotional landscape for men. Joining me are my co-hosts Azima, Shafika, and Shushmita. Together, we will share insight, personal experience, and practical steps to encourage a more inclusive understanding of masculinity that embraces emotional expression. So, let's dive in. To kick things off, let's talk about the historical context of masculinity. Azima, could you give us some background on how traditional view of masculinity were formed and their impact on men's emotional expression?
Thank you, Haja. Hi everyone, I'm Azima. Historically, masculinity has been associated with traits like stoicism, strength, and emotional restraint. These ideals back to ancient civilizations such as the Spartans, who valued toughness and self-discipline. These traits were seen as necessary for men to fulfill their roles as protectors and providers. And during the Industrial Revolution, these traits were further reinforced, where men were expected to be primary breadwinners working long hours in physically demanding jobs. The ability to suppress emotions was seen as essential for maintaining productivity and stability. This period cemented the notion that showing emotions was a sign of weakness, incompatibility with the demands of the industrial labor. And then moving into the 20th century, two world wars further solidified these ideals. Soldiers were expected to show bravery and stoicism in the face of unimaginable horrors. The post-war period also emphasized the nuclear family model, with clear, rigid gender roles, men as providers and women as caregivers. Popular cultures, including movies and literature, continued to glorify this stoic male hero, perpetuating these ideals. The psychologists and sociologists have studied these historical patterns extensively. For example, Dr. Michael Kimmel's research on hegemonic masculinity describes how these ideals are not only shape individual behavior but also influence institutional practices and policies. This framework helps us understand how deeply embedded these norms are in our societal structures and why change is challenging.
That's fascinating. Shafika, how do these historical views influence our modern understanding of masculinity?
These historical views of masculinity, embodied by iconic figures like John Wayne and James Bond, have deeply influenced contemporary perception of what it means to be a man. These media portrayals glorify stoicism, toughness, and emotional restraint, suggesting that true masculinity is synonymous with invulnerability. Such cultural narrative perpetuate the belief that men should not display emotions or vulnerability, reinforcing a narrow and often damaging definition of manhood. The societal expectation make it challenging for men to express their feelings openly, leading to suppressed emotion and potential mental health issues. As a result, men may struggle with forming deeper connection and seeking help when needed, perpetuating a cycle of isolation and emotional suppression. Addressing and broadening these portrayals is crucial for fostering a more inclusive and healthy understanding of masculinity, where emotional expression is seen as a strength rather than a weakness.
Absolutely, and it's crucial to understand that these terms are deeply ingrained. Shushmita, can you share an example from your personal experience that highlight this?
Yeah, sure.
In my blog, right, I discuss how growing up as a girl, I often encountered phrases like man up or boys don't cry. Despite these messages being like well intentioned, they deeply influence my understanding of how emotions should actually be expressed. And then from a very young age, societal norms convey that emotional vulnerability was a sign of weakness, primarily expected from men lah. This cultural conditioning subtly taught me that many others that expressing emotions openly, especially sadness, not really anger, but mostly sadness or any vulnerability, was not really acceptable. So as a result, I learned to internalize this norm, suppressing my own emotions to fit into the societal mold that I don't really want to fit in now, but that was considered appropriate behavior, right? So this had a profound and lasting effects on my mental health. I found myself struggling to articulate my feelings, fearing judgment or rejection if I were to openly share my emotional experience to anyone, or even those who are close to me. Over time, this emotional suppression took a toll, contributing to periods of anxiety and difficulty in forming genuine connection with others. I mean, genuine connection with even my very close friends. So, reflecting on these experiences in my blog, I emphasize that the importance of challenging outdated gender stereotypes that limit emotional expression based on gender, and by acknowledging and addressing these societal expectations, right, we can create more of a supportive environment where everyone, regardless gender, color, race, we can feel empowered to express our own emotions authentically. So this shift won't only focus on promoting mental well-being, but also fosters healthy relationship and a more inclusive society.
Okay, so let's move on to discuss the impact of this traditional view on men's emotional health. Azima, what are some common mental health challenges men face due to emotional suppression?
Men often experience higher rates of depression and anxiety, but they are less likely to seek help. Also, a bit of trigger warning. I'm going to be using the word suicide while explaining my part. So, emotional suppression can lead to the feelings of isolation and even increase the risk of suicide. For instance, according to the World Health Organization, men are 3 times more likely than women to die by suicide. Another significant issue is the tendency for emotional suppression to manifest in unhealthy coping mechanisms. Men may turn to substance abuse or risky behaviors as a way to manage their suppressed emotion. Research by the American Psychological Association indicates that men are more likely to engage in substance abuse as a form of self-medication, which can lead to addiction and other health problems. Furthermore, the stigma around mental health and seeking help is particularly strong among men. Studies have shown that men are less likely to access mental health services due to fears of being perceived as weak or vulnerable. The lack of support exacerbates their mental health challenges, creating a vicious cycle of suffering in silence. Many male clients who go for therapy initially struggle to articulate their feelings because they've been conditioned to view emotional expression as a form of taboo. It's a gradual process of helping them unlearn these harmful beliefs and develop healthier ways to cope their emotions. There are techniques like cognitive behavioral therapy and mindfulness have proven effective in helping men reconnect with their emotional selves and build resilience.
There's a staggering statistic. Shafika, in your opinion about young men, what do you think about their willingness to express emotion?
Unfortunately, nowadays, many young men feel pressure to conform to traditional masculine norms, which discourage them from expressing emotion like sadness or fear. However, when given the right environment and support, they are very capable of emotional expression. Programs like the Boys Project by Cara McAllister aim to create such environments, encouraging emotional literacy from a young age. This project basically explores the complex and often misunderstood lives of boys as they navigate through various stages of development. She delved into the social, emotional, and psychological challenge that boys face in contemporary society. The project emphasized the importance of understanding boys' experience from their own perspectives, highlighting how societal expectation and gender norms can impact their behavior and self-perception. By using a combination of interviews, personal narrative, and expert insight, McAllister sheds light of the unique pressures boys encounter and advocate for more supportive and nurturing environment that allow them to express their true selves. This project ultimately aims to foster greater empathy and awareness, encouraging a cultural shifts towards more inclusive and understanding approaches to raising and educating boys.
That's encouraging to hear. Shushmita, how can public figure influence change in this area?
Okay, for me, public figures have actually a very huge impact on our cultural attitude, especially when it comes to redefining what it means to be a man in today's world. So, let's take Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, for example. When he opened up about his battles with depression and then the importance of seeking help, it's not just about sharing his story, it's about breaking down the walls, all those invisible walls that the society has created for men. He shows that vulnerability is not really a weakness, it's a strength that connects all of us to be together. And then his message resonates because it challenges the old school idea that man should be tough, man shouldn't cry, man shouldn't show their emotion or not even feel anything. So by speaking out, he actually encourages others to do the same, creating a ripple effect of openness and support, which I really love about him. When someone as admirable as Rock, he's really handsome but also intelligent, emotionally intelligent as well. So it's when he says it's okay to ask for help, it gives permission for millions of guys out there who really wants to be like him, to prioritize their mental health without feeling ashamed or without feeling that they do not belong to the society. They will start to feel like, okay, this is something that everyone can do. And then in the world where traditional masculinity often pressures men to suppress their feelings, public figures like him are trailblazers. They are not just celebrities, they are advocates for change. They are role models to so many people out there. Their stories and advocacy shift the whole conversation, making it more acceptable for everyone, regardless of gender. Actually, even women or trans people, they can embrace their emotions and seek help when they need, because of people like him. And I think in today's world, we need more people like him. Like, we really need everyone to come up and tell the world out there it's okay to show emotion. You have to show emotion, maybe.
So now, I'd like to dive into a more personal segment. Let's talk about how music, movies, or research paper have influenced your understanding or experience with masculinity and emotion. Azima, could you share a piece of research or a study that have particularly resonated with you in this area?
Sure, Haja. One study that stands out is the research by Donald Levant on the normative male alexithymia, which describes how men often have difficulty in identifying and expressing their emotions due to societal norms. So this research, it highlights the importance of emotional education and has deeply influenced therapists' ways in approaching therapy with their male clients. So Dr. Levant's works have shown that men are often socialized to prioritize logic and action over emotional understanding. So this can lead to what he terms as alexithymia, which a condition characterized by difficulty in identifying and describing emotions. This condition is not just a personal issue, but it's a societal one, reflecting a larger cultural expectations placed on men. So further expanding on this is Dr. Breen Brown's research on vulnerability and shame also is highly relevant. So Brown's study suggests that men often experience deep shame when they perceive themselves as failing to meet societal expectations of masculinity. This shame can be significant to the barrier. This shame can be a significant barrier to the emotional expression and mental health. Brown advocates for creating a culture where vulnerability is seen as strength rather than a weakness, which can help men feel more comfortable sharing their emotions. So additionally, in the field of positive psychology offers valuable insights. Researchers like Dr. Martin Seligman have explored how cultivating positive emotions and resilience can improve overall well-being. For men, this means finding ways to experience and express positive emotions like joy, gratitude, and love, which are often overlooked in traditional masculinity norms. And also, growing fields of gender studies provides a critical lens for examining how intersectioning identities such as race, class, and sexual orientation affects men's experience of masculinity and emotion. So understanding these interactions can help tailor more effective and inclusive approaches to mental health support for diverse groups of men.
It's very insightful. Shavika, how about you? Is there a movie or a piece of music that has shaped your perspective on masculinity and emotion?
Absolutely. I'm actually waiting to talk about this. Now we are talking about Parasite, one of the most hit South Korean movies. The director, Bong Joon-ho, explores masculinity and emotions through the struggles of the Kim and Park families. The film shows how poverty and class differences affect men's identities and feelings. Ki-taek, the Kim family's father, feels inadequate and humiliated as he tries to support his family in a society that looks down on him. His journey basically highlights the pressure that men face and the emotional toll of economic hardship, which leads to a powerful climax. This movie offers a deep look at how masculinity is shaped by social and economic factors.
Oh, I love that movie. It's a great example. Okay, so Shushmita, can you share a personal experience or a media influence that has impacted your view on this topic?
I would like to share about my personal experience too. So growing up, I often encountered societal messages that prescribe rigid norms of masculinity, like emotional restraint, stoicism, so as qualities exclusively expected from men, not like women, expected from my father, my brothers, my uncles. So these expectations subtly influence how I viewed myself and others as well, like how they would view me or how I would view myself, shaping my early perception of what it means to be strong, vulnerable, or what it means to be a girl, boy. I mean everything, what it means to be a person in general lah. So one of the very impactful media influence that challenged this norm was one of the portrayal of male character in a movie. Like I still remember. Characters like Robin Williams, like the portrayal in Dead Poets Society. It actually demonstrated that emotional depth and sensitivity were not really weakness but essential aspects of human experiences. This film taught me that masculinity could encompass a wide range of emotional expression beyond societal stereotypes, unlike what it's being shown in real life. I mean, people around me. And then, moreover, personal interaction and family dynamics further shape my understanding of masculinity, as I said just now. Witnessing how my male relative, my father, my brothers, uncles navigated emotions with familial role provided both positive and also challenging examples. It highlighted the complexity of emotional expression with personal relationships, and the influence of generational norms on behavior. So, reflecting back on these experiences, I've come to appreciate the importance of promoting a more inclusive definition of masculinity, which values emotional intelligence and vulnerability as the strength rather than the weakness. So, I think by sharing my personal experiences, I can also continue to challenge traditional gender norms and advocate for a better society where individuals of all genders, all colors, all race feel empowered to express their emotion authentically.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Shushmita. It's really powerful to hear how societal message and media portrayal have shaped your understanding of masculinity and emotion. I love how you highlighted Robin Williams' portrayal in Dead Poet Society as an example of emotional depth and sensitivity in men, challenging those rigid norms. Your insight about personal interaction and family dynamic are equally important. It's fascinating to consider how this experience offers both positive and challenging examples, showing that complexity of emotional expression within relationship. Finally, let's discuss some practical steps. Azima, what can individuals do to embrace a healthier emotional life?
So, yes, individuals can start by acknowledging their emotions and finding healthy outlets for expression, such as talking to a friend, journaling, or seeking therapy. It's also important to challenge internalized beliefs about masculinity and allow oneself to be vulnerable. Practicing mindfulness and meditation can be particularly beneficial, as these practices help individuals become more aware of their emotions in a non judgmental way. This allows them to process feelings without immediately reacting or suppressing them. Mindfulness-based stress reduction (MBSR) programs have shown significant benefits in improving emotional regulation and reducing stress. Other effective strategies is to engage in activities that promote emotional expression. Creative outlets like art, music, and writing can be powerful tools in processing and expressing their emotions. So, the activities provide safe space for exploration that can help individuals connect with emotional selves in a non-verbal way. Building support networks is very important. Surrounding oneself with people who encourage and validate emotional experiences makes a very big difference. This can include friends, family, support groups specifically designed for emotional well-being. Programs like men's support groups and therapy groups provide a communal space where men can share their experiences and learn from one another. Moreover, educating oneself about mental health and emotional intelligence can empower individuals to better understand and manage their emotions. Reading books, attending workshops, participating in online courses about emotional health and resilience can provide valuable tools and insights. And finally, it's essential to advocate for systemic change that promote emotional well-being. This includes supporting policies that can improve access to mental health services, promoting mental health education in schools, and challenging media portrayals that reinforce harmful stereotypes. So, by working towards a more emotional, inclusive society, we can create an environment where everyone feels supported in expressing their true selves.
Shafika, what role do communities play in this process?
The role that communities can play in this process is to create safe spaces where men feel comfortable expressing their emotion. This can be through support groups, community centers, or even informal gatherings. Programs like Men Sheds which provide a space for men to connect and share experience are a great example. Allow me to promote this program. Okay, the Men Sheds program is a community-based initiative that originated in Australia and have since spread globally. It provides a welcoming space where men can come together to work on meaningful projects, share skills, or engage in social activities. The program addresses issues such as social isolation, mental health, and physical well-being by fostering a sense of camaraderie and purpose among its members. sheds offering a variety of activities, including woodworking, metalworking, gardening, and other hobbies tailored to the interests and skills of the participant. By creating an inclusive and supportive environment, the Man Sheds program helped men build friendship, learn new skills, and contribute to the communities, ultimately promoting overall well-being and reducing feeling of loneliness and isolation.
And Shushmita, how can we support the men in our life in embracing their emotion?
Well, that's actually a very wonderful question. How can we support the man in our life? As someone who has witnessed the emotional struggles of men who are very close to me, I have come to understand the importance of redefining masculinity to embrace the emotional expression. Like, we have to unlearn so many things and redefine so many things. Supporting the man in our life involves being open and non-judgmental. Like, that's the main idea. We have to be non-judgmental when they express their feelings, they express their emotions. So we should encourage the conversations about emotion, showing empathy, which can really make them feel valued, and then it could bring a big difference for them. We should also model this behavior ourselves, like not only advocate to others, like we should walk the talk, like basically, and then we should demonstrate it's okay to be vulnerable no matter what gender you are. But of course, especially for men, it's okay to be emotional. We are all humans, so humans are equals to emotional behaviors, right? So yeah, that's what I would think how we should support men in general.
To wrap up our episode on masculinity and emotion, let's summarize the key points we have discussed today. We begin by examining the historical context of masculinity, learning how traditional views rooted in Asian civilization like Sparta and Rome and reinforced through the Industrial Revolution and World War have shaped modern perception of masculinity. This norm, emphasizing stoicism, strength, and emotional restraint, have deeply influenced men's emotional expression and mental health. We then explore the impact of this traditional view on men's mental health, discussing the significant challenge men face due to emotional suppression. We highlighted that men often experience higher rate of depression, anxiety, and suicide, and are less likely to seek help due to societal stigma. This has led to unhealthy coping mechanism and strained relationship. In our personal experience segment, we share insight from research studies, movie, and personal stories that have shaped our understanding of masculinity and emotion. Azima discussed Dr. Ronald Levin research on normative male alexithymia and Dr. Brainy Brown's study on vulnerability. Shafika highlighted the influence of movies like Parasite, and Shashmita shared her personal experience and the impact of positive media portrayal on her views. We also discussed practical steps for embracing a healthier emotional life, such as acknowledging and expressing emotion, practicing mindfulness, engaging in creative outlets, building support network, and advocating for systemic change. Programs like the Boys Project and Men Shed provide supportive environment that encourage emotional expression and well-being. Finally, we emphasize the importance of community support and the role of public figure in challenging outdated norms and promoting emotional vulnerability as a strength. In essence, redefine masculinity to include emotional expression is crucial for improving mental health and overall well-being. By encouraging open conversation and supporting each other, we can break down harmful stereotypes and build a more compassionate and emotionally inclusive society. Thank you to my co-hosts Azima, Shafika, and Shushmita for sharing your vulnerable insight. And a big thank you to our listener for joining us today. Let's continue to challenge outdated norms and support each other in embracing a healthier, more emotionally expressive way of being. Until next time, this is Siti Haja signing off.